division in Britain, and division as a social classes.
Tell me a little bit more about that. What sort of regions of Britain would have suffered because of Thatcher, do you think? These are the key issue cards. So you're going to choose one of these, and then these are the key term cards. Okay. So you've chosen key issue 6.
That's geography key issue. Evaluate the positive and negative impacts of globalisation.
There's a history key term.
Which is E, Thatcherism.
So you're going to have 20 minutes to go and prepare for this in the salle de préparation, which is just down the corridor, and we'll come and get you in 20 minutes. Okay, so Julie, you chose key issue number 6, didn't you? Evaluate the positive and negative impact of globalisation, and key term E, Thatcherism. So you'll have 5 minutes on your key issue. We'll give you 1 minute warning at the end of it, just for you to sort of to wrap it up, and then we'll move on to discussion on the key issue, and then we'll do the key term. Now the time is 10 to 11, so you can begin.
Globalization is the growing interconnectedness of the world, and it presents both positive and negative impacts. So first off, TNCs that organise globalization have positive impacts in the sense that they increase FDI, they invest in infrastructures, they boost attractivity, there's an enhancement of exports, and they contribute to technology improvements, and they also offer employment. Apple, for instance, is the 10th biggest employer in the world. Socially, they can also have quite positive impacts. Ironically, tobacco TNCs provide employment for women in many LEDCs, which is very unusual, and good progress towards developing women's rights, so that would work with the MDGs. And tobacco TNCs will often have charitable givings where they provide clean water or healthcare in LEDCs. In Malawi, they provide 40,000 people with clean water. And then aside from TNCs, globalization has positive impacts in the sense that it creates groups of countries with similar economic potential, and it also allows countries to become mixed. So we have a rise of new tiger economies, including China and India. It also creates a free market with the creation of middle class and an increase in living standards. We can also look at international migration as a positive, in the sense that there's remittances. For Poland, for instance, remittances represent 1.5% of their GDP. However, globalization also has many negative impacts, social issues caused by TNCs, which can also be environmental and sustainable development issues. When looking at Nestlé, for instance, they're associated with child labour, unethical promotion, manipulating uneducated mothers, pollution. Nestlé, Unilever, and Indonesian company PT Torabika Mayora are top 3 contributors of plastic waste discovered in Freedom Island in the Philippines, which are contributing to the 1.88 million metric tons of mismanaged plastic waste in the Philippines per year. They're also associated with price fixing and mislabeling, Nestlé, I mean. And then Foxconn are also another example of TNCs that might create social issues because of their suicide nets. And lastly, we can look at Coca-Cola. A Coca-Cola factory in Mexico is reportedly draining wells dry, forcing local residents to buy bottled water. Coca-Cola might also present like cultural and social issues in the sense that fast food industries might create food deserts. In Mexico, there's high levels of obesity, and over 70% of the population is overweight or obese, which is quite considerable. Aside from TNCs, there are also negative impacts in the sense that MEDCs profit more from globalization than LEDCs, and we can see that through the north-south divide in the brain frame. We can also talk of the specialization trap. When looking at Angola, for instance, 98% of its exports are oil. Initial advantage can actually really be a curse, because 69% of people living in extreme poverty are from countries where gas, oil and minerals play a dominant role in the economy. And lastly, we can look at trade blocks and unfair trade agreements as being other issues caused by globalization. And also the IMF and the World Bank impose SAP's neoliberalist policies, so they're imposing their ideals. So in conclusion, globalization presents both positive and negative impacts that are majorly focused around TNCs.
Okay, thank you. You mentioned as part of your talk the relationship between TNCs and MDGs. Can you go into that in a little bit more detail, please?
because Millennium Development Goals could be improving women's rights, for instance, and TNCs might potentially be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
They could also do the other way around. I think one of MDGs are also having universal primary education, and actually TNCs can help improve literacy rates and things because TNCs might help finance education. So in that sense, it would be quite positive.
And so in the positive or the negative, do they adhere to these MDGs or SDGs as well?
Yes, I would say also for MDGs, in the sense of looking at women's rights, tobacco TNCs do provide works for women, but you can also look at other TNCs that wouldn't offer rights for women or wouldn't give them job opportunities, and so we could compare that to that.
Okay. You also mentioned that the globalisation is allowing countries to become NICs. Is that going to be? Is that possible for all countries, or are there some who are simply sort of locked out of globalisation?
I would say that in theory it should be possible for all of them, but in practice not necessarily.
Okay.
And I think it would be quite hard to go from LEDC to a NIC. So African countries might not necessarily have that possibility.
Can you tell me why some countries would find it hard to develop in that way?
Probably because they would require lots of aid, and they would probably become quite dependent to that aid, and yeah.
Okay.
You mentioned kind of like NIDL. You mentioned about and you mentioned this north-south divide. Is globalization changing the north-south divide in any way?
I would say so, in the sense that we do have the creation of NICs, but essentially we can see that in the north you tend to have industries that are more with the tertiary sector or quaternary sector, whereas in the south it would be like more basic manufactured goods. So you can still very much see that the new international division of labour is not necessarily that challenged. Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit more about why globalisation seems to be creating greater inequalities?
Because you can really see that with the north-south debate and the brain drain, that's the first sort of inequality. And then also, yes, you really can see that there's some really, really rich countries and some really, really poor countries, and that contrast is quite significant. With TNCs having more power than sometimes states.
So how is it? What role does sort of TNCs play in making, say, MEDCs richer, rather than the other way around?
Because they probably have their headquarters in MEDCs rather than LEDCs, and they'll have the LEDCs produce goods for like very little, or they'll probably have like cheap labour, or
Yeah. Well, thinking about sort of where TNCs operate, what is it? If you're thinking about sort of SEZs, what is it that you have to have in place in order to attract a TNC to your SEZ?
I'm not sure.
You mentioned cheap labour. Is there anything else that would bring them in?
Probably. I'm not sure.
It's okay. You mentioned the brain drain. Could you just explain what that is and examples of where that's happening?
It's essentially when people are leaving the country because they notice that they want to get higher education somewhere else, or they feel like their education could be used someplace else with more opportunities and more job opportunities.
What sort of impact does it have then on a country who's suffering the brain drain?
As a result, there's more migration. It could be positive in what I mentioned earlier with remittances, but it could also be a negative because it's literally draining the country from its potential and putting that potential elsewhere.
Okay, and then you mentioned an interesting idea. You talked about resource curves. So resource-rich countries aren't always rich in terms of GDP. Why is that then?
In the sense that having initial advantage seems quite a positive thing, but in practice it doesn't actually work out like that. And I think it's quite significant in Angola because they have like their main exports are going to be oil or like diamonds, for instance, and that doesn't give them opportunity to sell things like their coffee, which could potentially bring them another source of income.
Can you think of any reason, any problem countries encounter when they don't diversify their economy? Then why would it be problematic just to rely on oil?
I think I'm not sure. I guess it would be negative in the sense that they're not creating competition, and they're not creating like rivalry between different countries, and they're not having like a diversified economy in that regard.
Okay, we move on to the key term, which is Thatcherism. Can you tell us the key features of Thatcherism, please?
I think the main pillars of Thatcherism would be nationalisation of industries, monetarism, and diminishing the power of trade unions.
Okay, why did she hate the trade unions so much, do you think?
I think essentially because she was against consensus, and she really thought, she agreed with Coralie Barnett that Britain is in decline, and so she really wanted to reform everything, and she didn't really agree with the nanny state and the idea that Britain was becoming dependent on welfare and dependent on these trade unions.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything the trade unions had done, say in the 1970s, that had made Thatcher think something needs to be done to stop their power?
I'm not sure.
I think of maybe in 1979, were there any big problems in Britain faced?
The winter discontent.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
go on.
Essentially, there were lots of strikes, and they just Britain was in revolution.
You mentioned Thatcher's monetarism, privatisation as well, and against consensus. Was she successful? Was she successful with these policies?
I think economically, on an economic standpoint, actually Thatcher was quite successful in the sense that she decreased unemployment and decreased inflation and stagflation. And so in that regard, I think, yes, it would have had quite a positive impact. But they also had quite negative impacts in the sense that she created a huge division in Britain, and division of the social classes.
Tell me a little bit more about that. What sort of regions of Britain would have suffered because of Thatcher, do you think?
I'm not sure, but potentially at the end, I think when she put the poll tax in place, I think a region like Scotland may actually have been quite affected by that, because they were the first, she imposed it first in Scotland. So,
what was that all about, poll tax?
I think it was essentially to tax the poor as much as the rich, so essentially completely unfair when it comes to social class. I think a woman selling lollipops would probably have to pay as much tax as someone that actually had a stable job. So.
And Thatcher was intent on sort of shifting Britain from sort of industrial production to sort of tertiary. Can you tell me anything about that?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Okay, that's fine.
You mentioned consensus and welfare state. What was her issue with the welfare state? Could you tell us a little bit about that?
I think the main issue with the welfare state would be that it created sort of a dependency in a sense. And on the one hand, it's really quite positive because the NHS is still in place today. But on a more negative sense, it would probably create quite a lot of dependency on the state.
How did she did she manage to do everything that she wanted to do in terms of the welfare state?
I would think so, but she was able to nationalise some industries, not necessarily all of them. To privatise.
It's okay.
I don't know why I'm saying nationalise. Yes, so she privatised the economy. She privatised certain industries, and in that regard, that would have been quite, what she wanted to do.
Why do you think she thought privatisation was better than nationalisation?
Because as a result, it would create more competition between the different industries. And you would also be able to have the state-owned industries. I think she would have contracts where whoever was able to do the job best would be able to have monopoly.
And she's in power a long time, so she won 3 elections. If you had any ideas of what motivated people to vote for her again and again?
Well, she was quite a charismatic woman. I think she was the first woman to lead the Western power, so that in itself was quite positive. She was dubbed the Iron Lady, so that, and she sort of put Britain on the world stage in more positive lights, so in that regard it's quite positive as well.
Okay.
I think we're out of time, Julie. Thank you very much. If you could just leave your notes for us,
Sure.
and we'll just put them in the bin.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care, Julie. Right then.
Okay.
What do
I
you
think
think?
in terms of her talk was fairly well structured. The timing was good, and she basically went on to positive and negative, very much focused on TNCs, but also provided us with key bits of information, FDI, TNC. She mentioned Nestle.
She had a number of case studies, and it's quite sort of nuanced in the sense she was talking about. Actually, TNCs do enhance development in a way, so it's providing female employment. 40,000 in Malawi get access to clean water. So there was a balance there.
Yeah.
It jumped straight to remittances.
Yes.
I didn't quite see where the link was in the talk.
I think she was. She talked about migration, and I think she talked about international migration as a result of TNCs in countries creating employment. I think that's where she was going with that. But didn't kind of go. Well, she mentioned that it's 1 point of the GDP, but it jumped to there as a little bit.
Yeah.
But in terms of the questioning, some response to the questions, but not.
I think so. I don't think perhaps the answers were quite as good as the key issue talk itself. We asked quite a few questions because she talked about resource curves.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit more about that. She struggled a bit with that and the issue of sort of global inequality
Green
as well.
which she mentioned in her talk. Didn't really.
So she didn't quite develop on that, did she?
No.
Key. So the key term.
Key term is it showed a good base of knowledge.
Yeah, she mixed privatisation with nationalisation. She recognised that was.
Yeah, and it's I think as well also it's a similar kind of thing. Is just when wanting to just probe a little bit further. It just wasn't necessarily there.
Yeah. So she's covered a whole load of things. But I said, okay, why did Thatcher hate trade unions? And, she didn't, and then we tried to sort of locate the problems in the 70s.
Yeah.
I mean, she knew the winter of discontent, didn't she? But she wasn't able to develop that point particularly. Was she a success? She decreased unemployment, which unemployment went up compared to Labour, so that's not particularly true. She talked about poll tax. I was looking for her to perhaps talk about the development of the financial sector.
I think I also based on her key issue, she might have been able to develop that a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Then you talked about welfare state.
Yeah.
You talked about dependency in any state. Did she do everything she wanted to do?
And she said yes, which
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, it's one of those kind of things where I think in both cases she hasn't quite developed the answers.
So are we okay? So in terms of where we are we saying the knowledge is?
Well,
it's appropriate?
Yeah, I mean, I feel that she's.
Yeah, she's
here. in the middle bound.
Yeah, I think so.
You could have said sort of in the key issue talk there were certainly elements of the 7, but I think it's kind of come down a bit, hasn't it, from the.
I think in terms of her appropriate knowledge, I think perhaps she's here.
Yeah.
Because she understands what she's talking about. I think her knowledge is appropriate. And she has an idea of context. I think especially when we're even looking at the geography, she understands where it's placed in terms of the context.
Yeah.
Again, and I think
there's some ability.
Yeah.
And there's some judgment certainly in the analysis.
Yeah.
You credit her saying the talk was well devised and structured, but I'm not sure that you'd say she responded well to most questions.
Some ability.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
feel she's in this.
She's in here. I would say. 12, the 633.
633, yeah.
Yeah.